Hello, 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 and welcome to Women's Wisdom Wednesdays, where we come together every Wednesday to empower women just like you, foster connections, and thrive on our journey of surviving womanhood. I'm Kasey Conrad, whole life coach and well-being specialist, and my amazing co-host.
Hi, I'm Bianca Cartin, and I'm a business and mindset coach.
Thank you. Today we have a very special guest joining us. Her name is Sharon Civitello, and Sharon is my sister-in-law, and we are so happy to have you here, Sharon. Sharon has an incredible story to share. But before we introduce her, let's take a moment to address you, our audience. We want to remind you to visit our website at www.survivingwomanhood.com, where you can find valuable resources, connect with other women, and stay updated on our upcoming episodes, our previous episodes, our webinars, which we have one coming up in January, our workshops, and our retreats. We encourage you to actively participate by asking questions and adding comments in the space below. And if you have a story to share, we'd love to hear it. This is a safe space for us to learn and grow together. We'd also like to ask you to share your favorite episodes of Women's Wisdom Wednesdays, because you never know who out there needs to hear these inspiring stories. Now, let's meet Sharon. Again, Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. At 72, Sharon and husband Jim are celebrating 51 years of marriage. They have 3 wonderful children and 4 delightful grandchildren. With a degree in psychology, Sharon has navigated a number of career roles, from selling Tupperware, being a Tupperware lady, which she did very, very well, I might add, to district sales manager. Sharon's officially retired, but she's still active and she works on special projects. And she has, in her diverse journey, also taken to teaching English online to Chinese children, and she's a passionate volunteer who believes that staying busy adds zest to life. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Sharon?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for having me today. And I was just like honored and humbled when I looked at all the other guests you've had and their amazing stories. So I've not had any real trauma in my life. My life has been pretty nice and I'm just fine with that. So let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And we're so happy for you. So we're so privileged to have you here today. And we're sure that your journey is going to serve as an inspiration to so many other women. So again, let's get started. Question number 1. Can you share some of the challenges that you've encountered during your life's journey and how you've managed to move through your concerns and those challenges to find this work-life balance that so many are looking for?
Well, I saw this question ahead of time, and so I was thinking, and I had to think really, really hard to come up with some challenges. But I thought of some that at times were challenging. The first was when I was in college. I was the oldest. I am the oldest of 8 children. So I was the first one to go away to college, and my parents didn't have much money to help out with because they are, of course, taking care of the other 7 kids. So I was pretty much on my own trying to work my way through college. And after like 2 years, I thought, I can't do this anymore. So I'm going to have to quit and get a job. Well, you know where I got a job? At the college.
That's awesome.
So, and then I got free tuition. So I went ahead and it took 6 more years, but I ended up getting my degree on my lunch hour and in the evenings. So that was great. That was one. The next one was, fast forward, we're married, have a couple kids. We live in the apartment upstairs from my grandfather. And we're taking care of my grandpa. He died at 97, and our kids were just like 6 and 7 and newborn at the time. So while I was taking care of these kids, 3 kids, I was also taking care of my grandpa, which, was like everything, like taking him to the bathroom, getting him dressed, taking out his fake eye every night, just funny little things. But that was a challenge. But luckily I was able to work through that. And it was really good because it wasn't really a challenge, but sometimes it seemed hard at the time, but it was also, look back, it was really a good thing because he could still sit in the chair and hold the baby when I needed to go to the bathroom. He was there. So, and the kids loved him, and it was good to have them be around a really old person also. So that was a good thing. My biggest work challenge was when I was in my late 50s, and the company I had been working for 15 years, which I loved. Starting out, it was like a very friendly, wonderful, warm company. It was Market Day, and it serviced schools. And it was a fundraising organization for schools. So I loved it. I worked my way up from sales manager to district manager, and but they sold it. And then the new people who came in were like all about numbers and, very corporate. So it changed from a warm, fuzzy company to a very corporate company. And there was a lot of unrealistic expectations, which I later realized they were trying to get all the older people out. So they wanted you to quit. So, so I didn't. And I kept thinking the best outcome here would be to get fired and get a severance pay, get a nice severance. Even though I worked hard to try to meet all those expectations, and that's exactly what happened. Not fired, but they came in one day and they said, we're restructuring the organization. And so we're letting go all the district managers. So anyway, so it was really good because I then was off for 6 months during my daughter's wedding, as my daughter was getting married. I got severance that whole time, and I found this wonderful job working for Catholic inner city schools that raises money to provide Catholic school education to children in the inner city in Cincinnati. Wonderful. So and I worked there for 10 years. And I just loved it. And it was like moving from the corporate world to the nonprofit world was just like so refreshing. And so I think things always happen for a reason. And instead of being, dwelling too much on what went wrong, dwell more on, okay, what's my next adventure going to be? So it was perfect.
Well,
those were the only thing to think of.
One thing that I am hearing that is pretty amazing, and again, I think really good information for those listening, is that when you did have challenges, you actually turned those challenges into opportunities. You didn't dwell on them or, take the oh, poor me course. You actually turned those challenges into opportunities, and your outlook was pretty amazing, I think. Yeah, that's great. That's a good thing for people to hear, for sure.
Definitely. I was going to say the same. I was going to ask, do you consider yourself to having a positive outlook on life? Is it something you've thought about?
I do. I have been accused of being a Pollyanna. I'm proud of it. So I think when somebody told me that at once, so that wasn't meant as a compliment. But anyway, I definitely have I encourage that in others too around me to find the bright.
Where do you feel like one of my question was going to be about how you process things, but you obviously process things in a very positive way, and you take things in your stride. Where do you think that positive mindset has come from? How did you cultivate that? Is it something that you've always had, or it's grown over time?
I think my mom was probably like that, although I didn't recognize that when we were kids. She never dwelt or like, oh, woe is me kind of thing. And she probably had plenty of reason to with 8 kids, but she was always pretty upbeat, I think. Don't you think so, Kasey? My mom?
I do think so. Yeah. She was always cheery and did look on the bright side of things and saw the good in people.
But I also think it's kind of like in your chemical makeup a little bit. Because I don't think I've really done anything like consciously to make that happen. But I don't know. One example of trying to pass this mindset on is I was shopping with my granddaughter yesterday, and we returned something, and they gave me a card with a store credit on it. And we did a bunch of shopping. When I got to the checkout, I couldn't find it. It was like $25 on this card. And Josie goes, oh no, you know, what are we going to do? You lost that. I said, it's okay. I said, whoever finds it's going to be so excited. Like they might be able to buy extra Christmas presents for their kids, or they probably need that a lot more than we needed it. And she goes, oh, okay.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, that actually, I like it because it sounds to me like something I would say. So, we always like to hear our own words, right? But yeah, I love that. That's fantastic. And I think also that's one of those things, that's an opportunity, right? You have a learning opportunity with your granddaughter to not sweat the small stuff.
Right.
Not that $25 is such a small amount of money, but the whole idea of, you're out, you're shopping, you're together. Let's not ruin the day just because of this small little bump in the road.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. B?
Yeah. I was gonna have a little look to see if anyone was on our Facebook page, and I was gonna ask if anyone has told their own personal stories, and invite our viewers to actively engage in the comments and share their experiences and ask questions related to Sharon's journey. We'd love to hear other positive stories and experiences as well, especially as we're coming into the Christmas season and the holidays and things like that. Moving on from the way you think about things and your obviously very positive outlook, I guess it really follows on nicely onto my next question of what advice would you give women who are looking to find that nice work-life balance in life and looking to find a positive outlook? What kinds of advice would you give to them?
Well, okay, I wrote down some things, and one was I'm not a planner at all. So I probably, and I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just how it is. And I think when I take each day as it comes and not like plan my life out, I'm not disappointed with what happens. And like I said, I still haven't figured out if that's good or not, but I think that helps.
It works for you. It works for you. That's a good thing.
Right. Also, I love challenges. I like change, and I like challenges. So I think if you embrace challenge and embrace change, that helps also. The other thing is like in work, and it's not always about the money. Like when my kids were little, like I sold Tupperware so I could be home during the day with them and be gone in the evening when my husband was home. That was my choice. Again, I know I don't say that's what everybody needs to do, but and back then it was easier than it is now to be able to stay home with your kids. And so, as my life circumstances changed, I was able to work more full time. But I think, and when I took the job with SICE, I took a big cut in pay, but that was definitely okay with me because I was happy. So, and we weren't starving or anything, we maybe had to give up a couple things, but it's not always about the money. And I think you have to love your work, either love what you're doing or love your product or love, something about anything I've sold or participated in. I firmly believe in their mission or, the product is always, and if ever that changed, then I didn't want to be doing that anymore. So, I think that's it. And I think do what you love. So find something you love and look for work. The other thing I was thinking, as I was thinking about all this stuff, I thought, why did I always love my work? Because not all people do.
That's
And
true.
I think one of the thing was I've always worked with women, all women. And my bosses have always been women. I've had a lot of amazing, and not that there aren't good men bosses out there and good men to work with, but I think there's something about that bonding with other women and just like having kind of the same good mindset, really.
What a wonderful revelation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never had thought about that before. I thought, I
Yeah,
wonder what
that's,
that.
you know what? I actually love that you said that, because one of the things that we talk about is the phenomenon out there of women not being supportive to one another for whatever the reasons. And that's something that with Surviving Womanhood, we want to change that to create a more supportive environment for women all over the place, in the workplace, in the community, and other places as well. And so I love that you're saying that, because it gives us a lot of hope that this is possible. And I've had some similar experiences, and I'm very grateful to have been able to work with some very strong women mentors who have been nurturing and compassionate. And Bianca and I both share a teacher who was more of a mentor to me, and her name is Beryl. And she was a wonderful mentor to me, very supportive. And I didn't always find that other women were supportive in the workplace, but she was amazing. And she was a wonderful teacher. So shout out to you, Beryl. And so I really love that you said that, because it's so encouraging.
Right. Yeah, I did have a lot of wonderful super, I wouldn't even call them bosses. I worked with them and they taught me a lot.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
And then my last question, I was going to say, how is your journey? How's these transitions in life sort of impacted your perspective of the importance of self-care?
Well, the older I got, the more I realized how important self-care is. And so I always have something going on. Now, I'm not really good about sticking with the same thing for long times, but I've learned not to beat myself up on it, about it. Like, I'm going to do yoga every day. Well, I do it for 3 days in a row, and then I think I'm going to do something different. But that's okay. I did it for 3 days in a row, So, but I always have a whole little toolbox of things. So I, like yoga. Just recently I started doing Pilates, and I always thought I hated Pilates, but it's fun. I really like it. So I do Duolingo every day. I'm on day 640. So, and I have 4 languages I kind of go back and forth on. I can speak none of them fluently. I can count in 3 of them, but but it's still fun, you know.
What languages are you learning?
Italian, Spanish, a little bit of German, and Chinese.
Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very diverse.
Yes, that's a very challenging language too. So.
So I think it's good for your brain.
Yes.
The other, let's see, what else? Oh, I've done some meditation. Right now I'm on a meditation kick too. So I'm trying to do meditation and Pilates. I try to do between 10 minutes and sometimes an hour of something every day for my self-care. But my best thing for self-care is being with friends. And I have 2 different friends that I walk with, one on Saturday and one a couple times during the week. And we walk and talk, you know, and we do our walk, and then we go to the coffee shop and we talk for another 2 hours, maybe. We talk usually twice as long as we walk, but it's so much fun. I mean, and there's so many different topics you touch on, from, you know, complaining about your husband to to talking about your kids to, you know, outfits for new events, just silly stuff, and sometimes politics and religion and you know, just like philosophical discussion. So it runs the gamut. But anyway, I think that is important to take that time and not to feel guilty about just hanging out with friends.
Great. That's also great advice. Yes.
Did that answer your question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely.
Very good. So, is there anything else, B, that you have at the moment?
No.
Yes, there is. I was looking at my notes real quick, and I think I have be generous. I think being generous with your time, your money, and your talents. I think on all 3 of those, the more you give, the more you get. So I don't know how that works, but it works. So I just think that's another important thing to remember.
Thank you for adding that. And I like that you're saying be generous. Most people would say be grateful. I like this little nuanced difference in being generous. And it is Sylvester's joining us. He's lovely. I think it's very important. And I believe there's a universal law about that. The more you give, the more you get, to be honest. And I love that. It's an amazing thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just quickly bullet point some of the things that you've said about how you have managed to have this contented life, this balanced life for so many years. I also want to kind of mention something, that you've lived in the same house for 46 years.
Yes.
And that house was the house your mom was born in.
Yes.
Right?
And actually, I lived here with my mom and dad until I was 6, because they lived in the upstairs apartment here.
Right. So I think that in itself, so living in the same house for 52 years is pretty amazing. So that is all of except 20 years of your life you've lived in that same house.
That's true.
So that's phenomenal, and such a contrast to the way things are now. Also, obviously, then lived in the same town. You've been affiliated with the same church for most of your life, actually.
Yes, I was baptized there, and yeah.
Right. And
Yes, we just celebrated 150 years. I was on the committee for that celebration. So.
That's
Not with me. I'm not 150. Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. So, but that's amazing. I think people, like, again, one of the things I think is so important about an episode like this is that in this, instant gratification world, everything moving so quickly, that a lot of people feel like if they stay in one place that they're not being successful, and that they need to go, and they need to travel, and they need to do lots of other things to explore other options. And a lot of times I think that those people would feel so much better if they just stayed where they were, because the social expectation has created a situation where it's kind of looked side-eyed at if you just want to stay where you were born. You're happy there, you're content, you have the friends you've had since you were in high school, grade school, whatever, people from church. And I think it's so important for us to have this conversation with women like you who have made that choice, and it's worked out so amazingly well for you. And that could inspire other people to realize, if you feel like you want to stay where you're at and you feel comfortable there and contented there, stay there, make your life there, because if that's what feels right to you, that must be the right thing. Would you say?
I agree.
Yeah. So some of the takeaways that I have are: be generous, right? Be generous with your time, your talent, and your money. Have a good outlook. Be able to take challenges and create opportunities out of those challenges. Be aware, be kind, have friends, keep your self-care as an important part of your life. Make it a priority. And is there anything else you'd like to add that I left out?
I can't think. One more thing. I think you should continue to make new friends. I just find that so much fun when I make a new friend. And sometimes it gives you a whole new outlook.
Love that. I love that. And you learn from new people, right? You learn new things from new people, new perspectives. That's fantastic. Okay, B, you have any more?
No, I don't. No, it's been wonderful. Very inspiring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's take a moment to appreciate Sharon for sharing her inspiring journey with us. Your strength and resilience are truly remarkable. We love that, Pollyanna. I love Pollyanna. So we invite all of our viewers to share your own stories, suggest future topics or future guests, and actively engage with the Surviving Womanhood community. And please remember to mark your calendars. Join us every Wednesday for Women's Wisdom Wednesday. Our next episode will be on December 13th, when we'll have the privilege of hosting a remarkable guest, Maria, who'll be sharing her inspiring story. Sharon's journey is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of resilience. Before we wrap up, I want to once again extend a heartfelt thank you to my beautiful sister-in-law, Sharon, for joining us today and sharing your incredible story. It's going to serve as an inspiration to all of us. And is there anything else you'd like to say, Sharon, before we wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Fabulous. If you've been touched by Sharon's story, or you have your own experience to share, as Bianca said earlier, we'd love to hear all of your positive experiences. But if your experiences have been not so good, we'd like to hear them as well. Please leave it in the story below. And we value your voice. And we want to create a community where we can learn and grow together. And to catch up on any of our Women Wisdom Wednesday episodes that you might have missed, please visit our website at www.survivingwomanhood.com and click on podcasts. Together, let's face every challenge, rise above adversity, and support one another on our journey to surviving womanhood. See you next time. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Bianca.
Thank you.